This is True Voice Unfiltered, the podcast where raw truth meets real transformation. I'm your host, Daria Anne, ghostwriter, content strategist, and holistic health warrior. No, I'm not a doctor, nurse, nutritionist, or any kind of medical professional, and this show does not dispense medical advice. I'm just an informed patient sharing what I've learned on my own healing journey. I also interview accomplished authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, and functional medicine practitioners who are transforming lives. If you're ready to break free from the sick care system, reclaim your health, and transform your life, you're in the right place. Let's get unfiltered. Welcome to True Voice Unfiltered, the podcast where raw truth meets real transformation. And today I am thrilled to have with me my friend and colleague, Michelle Kulp. She is a book publicist and the founder of the Bestselling Author Program. And I am going to just read briefly here from her impressive bio, and then I'm going to let Michelle kind of tell us all about herself. So Michelle Kulp left a 17-year career in the legal field to follow her dreams of writing, teaching, and speaking. She started her first online business in 2005 to inspire others to live their passions, follow their dreams, and make six figures doing what they love. Since 2013, Michelle has been helping authors write, publish, and launch books to the Amazon, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today bestsellers list. To date, she's helped over 500 authors get their books published and become #1 best-selling authors. Michelle loves working with CEOs and savvy business owners to strategically use a book to attract aligned clients and grow their businesses. She has written, published, and launched a book a month for an entire year in 2020, replacing her Social Security income. And Michelle now has over 32 best-selling books. Michelle, that is amazing. Welcome to the show. It's so great to see you.
Thank you, Daria. It was a very nice introduction. I'm glad to be here and talk about books. We both love talking about books.
Absolutely. And it's funny, I was thinking about this today. Somehow you and I met over 10 years ago. What is it now? 2025. It's been more than 10 years. And I cannot even remember. Someone introduced us on Facebook. And whoever it is, I'm eternally grateful, but I just cannot remember who did it. But we have been sort of collaborating on projects. So for a long time. Yeah, you can't remember either.
Nope, no. But yeah, we've done a lot of great projects together. We're working with some amazing clients right now, and we love all things books.
Oh yeah, can't get enough of books. And my goodness, oh my gosh, you have been so successful to write that many books and have them all become bestsellers. It's pretty amazing. So, but I want to go back though. I love this story. And you and I once shared a stage where you shared this story with the audience several years back. But tell everyone about Billy Ray Cyrus and how instrumental he was in actually getting you to where you are today.
So this was back in 1993. I worked for lawyers and law firms until 2000. So it was way before I left the legal field, but it was like a dark time in my life. I was kind of like dreading going to work. I wasn't really happy. You know, was kind of getting burnt out in the legal field, even though I had loved it for a long time, but I was starting to get burnt out in the legal field. I didn't know what else to do. Ray Cyrus was playing in Fairfax, Virginia, which was close by. And I just immediately had the thought, I'm going to meet Billy Ray Cyrus and he's got something to tell me and it's going to change my entire life. And my friends all thought, are you on drugs? Are you drinking? What's wrong with you? Like, you're not meeting Billy Ray Cyrus. I was like, yes, I'm meeting Billy Ray Cyrus. And he has something to tell me and it's going to change my life. So what was going on at the time was my older brother was diagnosed with AIDS and was dying. And so that was very, obviously stressful. I was let go of one of the law firms I had been at a long time. And I thought I was unfireable, and I was not. So I had 3 kids to support. My ex-husband was not at the time paying child support. So it was all on me. So I think I was just looking for a light at the end of the tunnel. So I went to the concert. I won't tell the entire story, but I went to the concert. I tried to get backstage. I got kicked out 4 times. I was with a good friend of mine, Jackie. We decided to follow the limo after he came out from the concert. We followed it to his hotel. I did get kicked a couple times there, but I did make it up to Billy Ray Cyrus's hotel room, and I got to spend like 2 to 3 hours talking to Billy Ray. This is when Achy Breaky Heart came out, and people were like, oh, he's an overnight success. And Billy Ray told me, he said, there's no such thing as an overnight success. I've been playing music my whole life. Music is my heart. I love it. And even if they take away all the money, the fame, the fortune, I'm still playing music. That's what I love to do. And so anyway, so Billy Ray and I talked. I feel like he kind of had two sides to him, like his like stage persona, right? And all the women went crazy over him. And he also had like this very spiritually enlightened side to him. And so we were talking, and he asked me what my dreams were. And I said, I don't have any dreams. My life's about survival. And he said, no, I don't believe that. Everybody has a dream. And I said, no, you don't understand. And I told him all my problems, everything that was going on. He said, I promise you have a dream. It's buried inside of you. And I want you to promise me that you'll go find your dream and then never, ever give up on your dream. So I made this promise to Billy Ray. And it literally took me a year. I was reading books. I was, trying to figure out what this elusive dream was. And I kind of started feeling sorry for myself. Like everybody has a dream. I don't have a dream. My life's just about going to work 9 to 5, taking care of the kids. And I didn't have a dream. But then I found this book called How to Find Your Mission in Life by Richard Bowles, who also wrote What Color is Your Parachute? And in that book, there was a sentence that helped me find my dream that changed my entire life. And it said, what do you love to do where you lose all sense of time? And the only thing I could think of was like when I was a kid was I loved writing reports. I loved writing essays. I loved doing research. I loved any kind of writing in school. That was where I shined. And so I thought, oh my God, that's it. It's writing is my dream. And I went down the path. I went to some writers' conferences. I tried to get published. This was sort of before Amazon and self-publishing. And I collected a lot of rejection letters from all the top publishing houses. And then one day, one of the top publishing houses called me. They had my manuscript on their desk. It was called Woman, Take Hold of Your Power, 50 Subconscious Ways Women Give Away Their Power. And they said, we really like your book, but we have a couple questions. What are your credentials? This is a self-help book for women. Do you have a master's degree? Are you a licensed clinical social worker? Like, what do you have? And I said, oh, I have something better than that. And they're like, really? What's better than that? And I said, I have life experience. Those stories are real. I didn't make them up. They're not theory. And they said, well, we like it, but it's very competitive. And if you had the credentials that we want, we would publish your book, but you don't. So good luck. And that was it. But what it did do is it gave me like affirmation that my writing was good, because they would have published the book if I had had what they wanted at the time. Nowadays, you don't need that. But back then, they felt like it was too competitive for me to do that book. So anyways, that gave me confirmation that my writing was good. I always loved writing in the legal field. That was my favorite part, actually, of the legal field, was legal writing and legal research. So I just went on to pursue my dreams and published, I think, my first book in 2012 on Amazon. Somebody told me, oh, you can just self-publish. You don't need a publishing house. And then I ended up starting, an online business, helping others write, publish, and launch books to the bestsellers list. And it's sort of just evolved from that. But I've been doing the Bestselling Author Program since 2013. So yeah, like 12 years now.
That's amazing. Wait, there's a lot to unpack there. I think one of the things that jumps out at me with this story is just the importance of following your intuition. So I'm sure, like you said, all your friends thought you were crazy, but you're like, no, I'm going to meet Billy Ray Cyrus and he has something to tell me. And I mean,
Yes.
sometimes it's not usually that dramatic for most of us, but the point is you followed through. And the other thing is you kept like following that guidance. So you met him, but that didn't stop there. You kept following your guidance and taking action. I think that's the part that a lot of people miss when it comes to sort of the intuition, metaphysical side of things. And you just kept going. And
it's
got
not
you
always
thinking.
crazy like that. Like, you're going to meet the celebrity and he's going to change your life. But I don't know. It was just like such a strong thing. Like, I couldn't let it go. And I was like, no, I'm going to meet Billy Ray. And I mean, he really changed my whole life. I even wrote a book about it called Red Dress Energy, because I made sure that I didn't fit in with the crowd when I went to the concert. I figured, country music singer, whatever, they're all going to be in blue jeans and maybe, whatever,
Yeah,
cowgirl hat.
yeah.
I didn't know, but I wore a red dress, and I made sure I stood out, and I did. And when I ended up talking to Billy Ray, he's like, are you the girl in the red dress? So he remembered that red dress. So you got to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah. Hey, that's another lesson in there from that story.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you left. I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to this. You left a 17-year legal career as a, and somewhere along the line in this story. So tell us a little bit about that, because I think a lot of people can relate to what you said too, where when you were saying, my life is about survival, I don't have dreams. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are in that mode right now, or have that attitude or that feeling that they just have to, they may hate their job, but they just have to stay there because they need the security. Certainly, I've been there myself.
Oh,
So tell us a
absolutely.
little bit
I
about
couldn't
that and
even.
what advice you have. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's something I call career creep. I think I read it in a book, but I don't remember what book. It was called Career Creep. And career creep is when like you love your job and you love like the tasks that you do every day, because that's what a job is. Like there's certain things you do in the job. And in the beginning of my career, I worked for small like solo practitioners, right? So I kind of like ran the office from start to finish. I was very involved with the clients and the legal research, the legal writings, the cases, the litigation, like everything. And then after like 10 years of that, I went kind of chasing the bigger money in Washington, D.C. at these 600-person law firms. And that's when I became very unhappy. And I was no longer doing the things that I loved. I felt like I was a cog in the wheel of their well-oiled machine. I was like a glorified gopher, and I hated working at those big
Mhm.
firms, but I made a lot more money and I was able to pay, sort of pay the bills better. So I did it, but then, every day I had this dread, like I don't want to go to work. So I think you just have to notice that jobs change. It's just like, we think like a relationship is forever, a job is forever, my house is forever. No, people change, we change, and what maybe satisfied us a long time ago no longer satisfies us. And I wasn't happy, but I didn't know what else to do. So I did get the pink slip at that last law firm, and they said, "We've restructured the department you work in. Your job no longer exists." And it was my ticket out of the legal field. I was very lucky. And I just started doing multiple streams of income. I became a reporter for the Bowie Blade News. I worked at the Capital Gazette newspaper. I taught public speaking at the local college and business writing. I don't know. I did like 10 different things to bring in the money until I found something that actually really paid the bills, and it was outside sales. So I went from law to hot tubs. I sold hot tubs for 10 years. I was in the top 10% of the company. I doubled my income, doubled my salary, and it gave me the freedom to do my writing, to start my online business. So if you follow your passion, maybe you're not making the money exactly like you want, but that money, I only work like 20 hours a week. So I had all this free time now because I was making so much money in outside sales, that I could actually pursue my dreams. Because when you're in a job that drains you, like it's really hard, you know what I mean, to pursue your dreams. You come home at the end of
Yeah.
the day and you're exhausted. So
And it
that's,
spills over into the rest of your life too. When you're miserable in your
yes.
job, it just affects everything. And I feel like maybe that sales position, because you had come from, so you were in the legal field, so you weren't really doing sales necessarily, right, as a paralegal and
Right.
in that field. But look, I mean, I can see listening to the story that that gave you such a great foundation for what you're doing now. And then you went and hired a
Yes.
business coach. So yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, and the sales thing was really important, even though I didn't think it fit my personality, because I was like, I consider myself an introvert. A lot of writers do, but
Yeah.
we live in an extroverted world, right? And so I was like, oh, I can never do sales. My dad was in sales and he was great. He was amazing. My son is the number one finance guy at Lexus. He was the top salesperson when he was in sales. It like runs in the family. My daughter has a painting company. She's in sales. My other daughter's a
Yeah.
server. That's sort of sales, everybody's selling something. But anyways,
Yeah.
I got hired at that company, and it was very male dominated industry. There was like three women, I think, in the company. And I didn't like a lot of the way people sold. So I kind of just, I think being authentic and being real with people, like they appreciated that. And somehow they liked it. And I was able to like rise to the top of the company. But I learned a lot about working with people, and selling is just really helping people find like, solve a problem and find something that's a good fit for them. and it's not a good fit for everybody. But anyways, I loved sales. Unfortunately, when the housing market crashed, I think it was 2008, the company filed
Yeah.
bankruptcy. My cushy sales job went away, and that's when I moved into
Oh,
full
wow.
time with my online business.
Yeah. So what made you decide to get a coach? Like when you, and at what point, like when you started your business, did
So
you
I
think,
think
hey,
what happened was it was a side hustle, the online business. I loved it, but it wasn't like paying all the bills. It was just like, oh, I love this. I'm doing it part time. At the time, I had a website called Become a Six Figure Woman, and I was teaching like I had like some courses and a couple self-published books, and no big money or anything, but it was like good side money. And when I didn't have my sales job anymore, which was high six figures, I was like, oh, I have to replace that income. How am I going to do that? And then somehow this business coach came across like, I don't know if it was an email, maybe it was a Facebook ad. And I just connected with this guy. His name was Jason Nyback from Canada. And I just immediately connected with him. He had been a pastor in a church, but he was also into like, he did the websites for churches. And one day the servers crashed and they lost all the websites and he had to pivot.
oh
And he
no,
pivoted, I know, he pivoted into an online business. He started like testing ads and he was selling, I don't know if it was a course or something, like something to do with airplanes. And he knew nothing about airplanes, but he was like, this is a good product. You know, I'm going to get good at ads. And he just got good at Facebook ads. And I was his first coaching client back then. And within 90 days, I had doubled or tripled my income from working with Jason. And then I ended up working with him for 4 years. And I didn't do Facebook ads right away because to do Facebook ads, you actually have to have a great offer and a great conversion and an email list. And you have to have all the things fixed. So I worked with Jason for a long time fixing all the things. He had gone to my website. He's like, Michelle, I don't even know what you do. You have this program, this program, this. And I did have the Bestselling Author Program as one of like the 10 programs I was offering. And he said, no, I'm not working with you unless you pick one. So I looked at all my different offers and I was like, one? I can't pick one. He's like, well, then we don't work together. And so he made me pick it. And that's when I put up the website, Bestselling Author Program. I said, well, I love books. I'm a bookaholic. I guess I'll do books. And next thing you know, we were selling out every single month into the Bestselling Author Program. And I worked with him for 4 years. He was amazing. He changed my life. I highly recommend him. I don't know if he's still doing this, all the coaching that he does and the ads, but he's great.
speaking of airplanes, this may be a side note. I seem to recall years ago, right around the time I first met you, were you like a little
Mhm.
apprehensive about flying and then you guys went somewhere?
Well, yeah, I had to go see Billy Ray in Nashville, Tennessee, and then I had to go to Canada to see my coach. He convinced me, and I said, Jason, I don't fly. He's like, you're coming to Canada to see me. He was in Calgary, and I went to Banff, Canada. It looked like a storybook, like beautiful place. So it was amazing, but I guess I just didn't have enough of a strong enough motivation to fly. But I did want to go to Canada to see Jason. And then he started doing business events in Vegas. So I went to Vegas 5 times and
Wow.
I did love Vegas. I like the weather. I like the business stuff out there. So yeah, I'm still not like a big flyer, but I probably fly like now we go to Florida a couple times a year and maybe I'll get
Yeah.
back to Vegas.
Yeah. And I brought that up because I can relate. I don't love fly. I mean, I do it when I have to, but it's not my favorite thing. But
Yeah,
I remember that and I could
same.
could totally relate to that. I used to, in a million years ago in a past life, I worked for Washington Mutual Bank. They're based in Seattle, but I was working for them in South Florida in the marketing department. Would
Oh,
have to fly out there once a year and oh God, I
oh
hate. I mean, I did it and I managed it, but I didn't
yeah,
like
it's
it. But
stressful.
yeah. It's good to confront those fears though. So
Yeah, it
I
is.
want you to tell me because I love, just getting back to the whole publishing thing. I mean, one thing I love now about the internet, and just all this technology that we have is it has really leveled the playing field for really talented people who used to have to deal with gatekeepers like you were talking about years ago. It used to
Yeah.
be that there were a lot of talented, smart, intelligent people out there who could never get a book published.
Yeah,
Just
because
because,
they rejected like 90% of the people that submitted. If you didn't know how to write the book proposal and tell them how you were going to sell the book, not them, you had to prove that you could sell the books, and so that meant you had to be good at marketing, you had to have a following, you maybe had to have an email list. you actually had to prove yourself first before they took on the deal. So I think they make most of their money from like maybe the bigger name authors. And then, maybe some people got a deal, but it wasn't like a great deal. Plus they own the copyright. They take like,
Yes.
I think 85 or 90% of the royalties. Plus then if you have an agent, then they take 15%. So yeah, it's not a great deal. And now we have self-publishing. We don't need the gatekeepers anymore.
But I want to talk about, and we'll get to that. And it's great that we have self-publishing, but it also means we have to kind of maintain high standards when it comes to editing and formatting and all those things that we're going to talk about. But first, I want to talk about this book a month process.
Okay.
You follow, and I have to say, like, you were one of the few productive people that I met that I know during COVID, where you're actually like, during the lockdowns and all of that, actually doing something, where I was reading about people, eating junk food and lounging around. It sounded like you used your time wisely.
A
But
lot of people gained weight during COVID,
Yeah.
from what I've heard from
Yeah.
a lot of people.
I was
But
not
what
one of the
happened
people.
was I didn't even know COVID was coming. It was December 2019. And I think I was like doing a meditation and something came up like, you're helping all these people get their books done, but you love writing and you're not doing any writing. Cause I was not writing any, like I would write a book like sporadically, like every 3 years or something, like one book. And then I would focus on my clients. And so this feeling like I was feeling sorry for myself, like everybody else's book is getting done. I'm not even doing my writing. And then this weird thought again popped into my head, write a book a month. And I was like, that's insane. And then I read this article on Written Word Media. It's a blog. And it said the average author who makes six figures has 28 books in their catalog. And I thought, yeah, so it's more volume, than anything else. So I thought if I wrote a book a month, I could kind of test it out and see. So I told my editor, my formatter, like I'm on a tight timeline. So when I send over my manuscript, you got to do the editing quick, the formatting. I got the cover designer on board, and I was just churning out books, a book a month for a year in 2020. And then COVID happened, but I didn't know like it was coming. It just worked out that way. And at the end of the year, I had $3,335 a month in passive income. And I thought, wow, that's a Social Security payment. And then I wrote a book called Digital Retirement, talking about how you can replace your Social Security income by writing a book a month.
That is amazing. And I want to clarify too that we're talking about nonfiction books. And basically
Yes.
a lot of people don't think of it this way, but a book is really a vehicle to expand your influence, your authority, your business, like whatever your goal is. So talk a little bit about the clients that you work with and even your books too, and how, I mean, aside from the income, which is awesome, but how did that help you even expand your business? And how did it work out for some
It
of your
helped me
clients?
tremendously because there's like this thing like writing books about what you know or what you like. And I wasn't really strategically using books when I was like every 3 years writing a book here and there. There was no strategy at all. It was just like, oh, I'm going to write this book about whatever topic. Well, one of the books back then was called Quit Your Job and Follow Your Dreams, which was great. It was a 250-page book, but didn't really help me in business. When I wrote the book a month, a lot of those books were geared towards authors. Digital Retirement, 28 books to 100K, Self-Publishing Secret Sauce, Backwards Book Launch. They were all geared towards authors. So authors started reading my books and then going to my website, getting on my email list, I have a Facebook group with like 2,200 people in there that are readers of my books. And then I've even created an online course called Digital Retirement Academy, and I've been selling that for a few years now. So it all kind of evolved from them, but it gave me a lot of credibility, especially with the done for you clients, because they were like, wow, you wrote a book a month. Wow, how did you do that? So they kind of felt confident that I could help them get their books done. I see people in this space and I look at like review, like, well, what books do they write? And some of them don't have any books, or their books have terrible rankings. Some of my books are still like, now it's 5 years later, I wrote those books. 5 of them are still on the bestsellers list and Women in Business bestseller list. How to Find Your Passion, the one behind me with the heart, is still on the bestsellers list. Digital Retirement is still on the bestsellers list. I don't know all of them. It changes because Amazon updates those lists, but I still have 5 years later books with good rankings on the bestsellers list. So when I see people that do this and like they don't even have a book, or if they have a book, it's kind of a crappy book. There's terrible rankings, and yeah, they're not on any bestsellers list. So it adds to the credibility for sure.
I was just going to say it gives you credibility because now I know you're working with CEOs, entrepreneurs, pretty like high achieving clients. So I'm sure that that gives you legitimacy in their eyes to
Yeah, we
work with you.
just
So
finished working, or we are working with a Navy SEAL. We've got an executive leadership coach and an attorney. So yes, definitely high level people that books could really benefit them, because what it does is like on Amazon, it gets you in front of people you would have never been able to connect with before, right? Because Amazon is like a giant search engine. And so now you have this book on this topic, and now people can find you.
yeah, exactly. And then, it expands your authority. I mean, I spent several years in digital marketing where, things
Yeah.
like blogs were vehicles for presenting that person, whether they were lawyers and worked mostly with lawyers, ironically, right? You know,
Yes.
presenting them as the authority in their field. So like sharing valuable information. I think they call it authority marketing. I have a couple of blogs about that
Oh,
on
yeah.
my website, but it basically establishes you as the authority. And I even know, I know even from listening to podcasts. I followed, her name is Dr. Amy Horniman. I mean, she was the person that got me to optimization. She hasn't written a book yet. So Dr. Amy, hey, reach
Yeah, we
out
gotta
to
get
her.
Dr. Amy to write a book. That would be
But
amazing.
it would be awesome. But the point is like she was putting content out there. Now it wasn't a book, and I definitely recommend a book because it's something that people have forever, especially I love paperbacks. But the point
Me
is you
too.
establish credibility. So she established credibility in my mind over the course of a couple of months. I ended up hiring her and doing her program. And so the same is true like with a book if you have a business to market.
Yeah, I just bought a book by Stu McLaren, who does membership sites, and he wrote a book called Predictable Profits. So that is going to lead people like, now he's the authority. You've read this 300-page book. Now you trust him. And then maybe you'll sign up for his program, because we were talking about maybe doing a membership site. So yeah, it can lead,
Yeah.
like even with the attorney, she markets like these I guess they're like mini seminars at her office, and the book, she can give it away. She can do a book funnel
Absolutely.
with it. She can put it on her website. People can find it on Amazon, and then they go for their free consultation. She's got a link in the book. They get on the email list, and now she's building her pipeline of potential clients.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, it's definitely how it works. For some reason, people see that you've written a book and it clicks in their mind that you are the authority and hey, I want to work with this person. It's like instant credibility. Even though, yeah, in
Yeah.
this case, she's a lawyer and I'm sure she has a great career, but there's something about writing and publishing a book that just really grabs people's attention and drives in business.
Well, there's
So,
something, it's about getting like your intellectual property out of your head and onto the paper. And it's not an easy process. And that's what we help people do is we find those gold nuggets, and we, create like a hook for the book, something unique, something different. And we get it out of their head onto the paper. And now they have like a methodology, a process, a system. They're teaching. People are learning something new, and yeah, that can really like elevate everything. It elevates their brand, their business, their income.
So talk about following your intuition. So gosh, I want to say it's like beginning of the year. Michelle and I lost contact, and what happens, whatever. We hadn't been in touch in a while, and I kept having this intuition. Reach out to Michelle. Reach out to Michelle. I was unhappy with what I was doing, and I'm not so much with a lot of things. I love the work, but anyway, it's a long. I was just ready for a change. I wanted to be back on my own again, and I just kept hearing this voice in my head, like reach out to Michelle. So we reconnected, and now we are, I guess we could say, collaborating together on the
Yes.
Done For You program. So I want you to talk a little bit about the Done For You, and then I can talk about where I fit into all of this and how we help clients.
Awesome. Yeah, so the done for you mentioned a little while ago about the quality of books. Okay, so when I had my little 6-week online course, when I had become a six-figure woman, I had a little online course. And people were like, "Oh, I saw that, you can get books to the bestsellers list. Can you help me?" So I wasn't helping them with like the writing of the book, the editing, the formatting, the cover. And I was like, these books are not good quality. I was like
Oh no.
doing launches and looking at it and going, "Oh my God," like, like it's because I wasn't like I didn't have a full package back then. I was just doing like kind of launches. And that's a good way to fail with your book, right? Because you could temporarily maybe get on a bestsellers list, do a launch, get people to buy it, but they actually have to read it, and then you actually have to convert them, to something on the back end. So once I started working with Jason, my business coach, he's like, Michelle, no, you cannot be doing just launches. You have to do everything. You can't let them do anything. You do the editing, the formatting, the cover design, the publishing of the book, the launching to the bestsellers list, and then Amazon ads, and keeping the book up there on the bestsellers list. So we just put together like a done for you package, and it was great, and it's been great for all these years. But what's even better now that Daria and I are working together, which is amazing, is unfortunately in the world of AI, and I know it's like there's pros and cons, right? But now people think I could just write a book with AI. The only thing I use AI for personally is coming up with titles, because it seems to come up with great titles if you give it enough information and subtitles and maybe an outline. But other than that, we're not using AI to write books. Like if we needed a reference or a list or something within a book, maybe we'd use it for that. But so what was happening is, now that we have AI, is people were signing up for the Done For You program, where they write the book, but then they were sending me a manuscript that was clearly not written by them. It was written by AI, and it was really bad. And I said, I won't even be associated with this book. No, you can't publish that book. So then Daria and I get together, and Daria is an amazing ghostwriter. You have such a gift ghostwriting, and being able to speak in people's voices and get the information out of their brain onto the paper, and working with people. And so we put together the ghostwriting bestselling program, where now we're writing the book for you, because a lot of people don't have time to write the book, So we still have other programs, we can coach people with it, but we prefer to do the ghostwriting packages.
Yeah, because I find that even if people do have writing ability, not everybody does, but even if people are good writers, they're so busy with their business, they don't have time, or they don't know how to organize the information. And that's, and sometimes I use AI as like an aggregator. If somebody's got a lot of stuff out there, like YouTube videos and websites and stuff, I'll use it kind of like as a way to gather all that information together. So it's helpful in that regard. But really for me, like, it's just about, when I work with somebody, like scheduling regular meetings. And this is when, if somebody's really starting from scratch, it may take a little while. I've got to do several interviews. I've got to like kind of figure out, get to the heart of what their objectives are. I mean, we do kind of figure that out when we talk to people before we sign any contracts. But
kind of like working backwards to see what the point of the book is. Yeah, first.
Exactly. And just knowing who your audience is, like, that's one of the questions, like on my discovery call, I make people answer like before they even meet with me, like and it's just funny, like how many people don't really know, or you really have to kind of brainstorm with them to figure it out, who they're trying to reach. And, having the digital marketing background is helpful in that regard.
Absolutely.
Because even writing a blog. So
yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, there's kind of like three pillars. I call the pre-launch, the launch, and the post-launch. And the pre-launch is what you're talking about. It's like people need help with figuring out what book to write. I feel like people either have not enough ideas or too many ideas, but they're also not strategic in the ideas. It's like, I'm just going to write a book about this, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't lead to new business or new income or anything for their business. So they write the wrong book, and they just spent all this time and money writing the wrong book.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what I'd like to help people kind of get clear on their message, clear on their audience, gather the information, and then figure out like a logical progression for the book too. And one thing that's very important, like for example, is putting CTAs, calls to action, at the end of each chapter, like always bringing it back to the reader, because that what's in it for me is so true. People want to know what's in it for them. And especially with a book, you're like, why should I buy this book when there's a million of them out there on Amazon? Which kind of brings me to another point I want to make sure that we talk about too, is like the importance of a book cover. That expression, don't judge a book by its cover. I think that applies to everything except books, because of course we don't want to judge people that way, but certainly readers, when they're looking for books, they do judge them by their covers. And I love that, the package includes that too. And we get input from people. Some people come with ideas, some people don't. But it's really about, and I know we've been working, I don't want to give it away because it'll be launching soon, but like there's one cover I'm thinking of in particular that I think, man, this is really gonna jump out at people on Amazon. And even, I interviewed Kristen Slanino, and who was one of your clients, and
Yes.
her cover was awesome. So I just
Yeah, we
interviewed
spend
her.
a lot of time on covers. We can do polls and see what people resonate with and like. And it's really like you have about 30 to 60 seconds on Amazon because there are so many books. So self-publishing is a double-edged sword. It's like,
Yes.
okay, right, 20 million books here I can choose from, right? So you have to stand out, and there's a lot of homemade covers and a lot of bad
Ugh.
covers out there, and people are like, I don't have the money to do a cover. Well, that's like the first thing they see. If they like the cover, they like the title and the hook, and they're interested, then they'll download the preview maybe, and then they'll buy maybe the ebook, and then if they like that, then they'll buy the paperback. But it's like really quick on Amazon. Like, so the cover has to be everything.
Yep, because it's just one click away from
One
your
click
book if they don't
away.
like what they see, and you
Right.
really do have to grab their attention. And the same thing is true with the formatting also, and
Yes.
that's something I mean, I love to write. I could write all day long, obviously, but formatting is not my thing. So I'm so glad that
No,
Michelle,
me
you have
neither.
excellent formatters who can handle that
Yeah. I used to
and do
try
it
to do
well.
everything years ago. I was like, I was doing the editing, and then I'm like, I'm not really an editor. I can edit, but not like a professional editor. Formatting as a whole, like somebody has a gift for it. I don't. I was doing that. I was doing book covers. Like, people are like, oh, well, there's Canva. And then I look at it and I'm like, no, it just looks homemade. I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't look, you know what I mean? Great.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think people, until you get into it, you don't realize how many pieces there are to it. It's kind of like the book is, the actual content, the written content is one thing, and then there's all these other elements that you have to put in place, and including the
Yeah,
author
that's why
bio
there's
and
90 to 120 days, we can get your book done, but there's probably like, 50 steps that we take to get the book done. Like you said, the author bio, the author central page, the ISBN number, making sure
oh,
we have a
right,
good
gosh,
hook for the book, the subtitle, we do keyword research, category research, make sure we have your book's going to be visible, we diversify the audience. Like there's so many steps. Like we have like a master like chart that we follow for every client. It's kind of like a mechanic. I was at Lexus recently, and they're like, we have 100-point checklist or something like that, and I was like, good, I like that. They got a checklist. That's what we have.
yeah, yes, and I actually worked with checklists in my digital marketing job too, and it was super helpful because, as you know from working with attorneys, I mean, everything has to be right. And we had to avoid things like the
Oh
forbidden words and legal
yeah.
advertising. And so we had a whole checklist that we follow. And now like
Yes.
that, and well, I've always done that with books too. So, and it's great. And I really love, for me, I love the collaboration with people, and it's so much fun. And most clients I've worked with, I would say 99.9% of them were very engaged, which is
Yes.
really helpful because as a ghostwriter, if I'm going to write in your voice, I really need you to be engaged so I can get to know you through these
Mhm.
meetings and through listening to the playbacks of the recordings and looking at the transcripts. And, it's just the more involved somebody is. I mean, I do the hard work of writing, but I also like people to be involved in giving input. Like I get on a call, okay, let's go over these chapters that I wrote for
Yes.
you. And tell me what you like and what you don't like. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I just want to make sure that you're happy. Like that's my biggest thing is I want people to be happy with the finished product and really be proud of it and have the book accomplish their goal. So getting back to their original goal for writing the book, like that's always our goal, is to help people achieve whatever standards they've set for themselves for their business and for their influence. And I want to ask you this, like I also think kind of on the more, I mean, you were mentioning earlier that you were kind of an introvert, but I think, if you want
Yes.
your book to be successful, publishing it and hiring us and getting your book launched is one thing. I also think you need to be willing to kind of get out there and go on podcasts and,
Oh,
continue to market
absolutely.
yourself.
That's the first thing we tell people after the book is done is like, you don't abandon the baby, right? You have this baby,
Yeah,
right? It's your book. The baby has been birthed. It's now on the bestsellers list. And a lot of people, it amazes me because they spend a lot of money investing in the program. And then it's like, no, here. And so I actually have a list I give them. It's like, here's the 10 things you need to do to keep your book on the bestsellers list. Podcast is one of them. go on the podcast, talk about your book, get backlinks to your book, and get more visibility, because those people have audiences that you can now reach because you have a book, and they love interviewing authors. Whatever the topic is, you can find a podcast on. Amazon ads, that just has to do with keywords that people type in to find your type of book. So you learn about, it might not be the keywords you think. For example, my book, Digital Retirement isn't really a keyword. Nobody like goes to Amazon, I need digital retirement. Like, I made that up, right? So actually my
Great
client of mine
title,
helped
though.
me.
I love that.
Yeah, my client, Danny Ronberg, who is a retirement expert, he was the one who came up with the title. We were talking, I was helping him with his book, and I was telling him about the book a month and how I replaced my Social Security. He's like, "Oh my God, you just created a digital retirement." I go, "Danny, I'm stealing that topic, that title. Can I use it?" And he said, "Yes." So that's how that came. But my point is, the keywords that people might search for that type of book might be passive income, quitting your job, creating, making money online, retirement planning. Those are the keywords. So you have to learn the keywords. It's like SEO for books, and then you do ads. So people they type in retirement planning. Michelle's book comes up, digital retirement, and they're not searching for digital retirement. That's just the title of my book. So that's
Right.
really important. So there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I've learned, keywords on Google, like when you're doing keywords for a blog or a web page, is quite different
Mhm.
from the keywords that you
Yes.
research on Amazon. It's really amazing. It's
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
completely different.
So I want to, Michelle, I kind of want to talk about some of your clients. I'm on your website now, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because this is awesome.
Sure.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of these people, but I just want everyone listening to know, like, just the excellent work that you've done and how many wonderful testimonials you
Yeah, if
have
you
here.
go to the client page where it says
Oh,
clients up top on the menu,
okay.
yeah, that one, because that has like all the, especially the more recent ones.
Wonderful.
Yeah, yep, you can keep scrolling down. I
No,
mean, we just did this launch.
I love
He
this
had
cover, by the way. Sorry.
yeah, he had published his book, and it was about helping, small businesses thrive. After a disaster, so it could be like physical businesses and things like that, and
Mhm.
he's like an expert in that area. Melissa with Akashic Records, her book is still #1 or at the top of the bestsellers list years later after writing and launching her book. One of the top books on Akashic Records.
Wow, I love that cover too. These covers are awesome. I'll tell you.
Yeah. This is my amazing, I call him
Oh,
Dr.
love it.
Chris. He's a chiropractor, had some health challenges himself, and he has this OWL method, which is oxygen, water, light. And he's like
Wow.
very advanced in his thinking. He's probably like more like the functional medicine people that you talk about, doctors that you talk about. His book is amazing, and has helped me a lot, and is still at the top of the bestsellers list. We published this book years ago, and it's still
Oh
at the
my
top.
gosh. I'm gonna
Yep.
have to get it. And I'm gonna have to reach out to him to see if he'll come on my show because I would love to
Oh
interview
yeah,
him.
he would be great. Some of these people would be great for your show.
This
Mark
guy
Sloan has done
too.
a lot. He's done a lot of books. The cancer industry. He's done red light therapy. Just all the sort of the non-pharmaceutical treatments that they have. He's done a lot of different books on that. His book's still actually at the top of the bestsellers list.
That's incredible. Who else we have? Oh, and this one, I
Um,
know this one's recent, Michelle, right? I've seen
that
this
was
on
very
social media.
recent. He owns Red Rabbit Security, and I'm not an expert in IT. I don't know that much about it, but he said there's so many scams and there's actually a book called Scam Me If You Can that my dad had given me years ago, but it's kind of along that line. Like he teaches you how to outsmart the digital con artists. And he had that artwork actually created for this book.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Talk about like jumping out at
It
you from the
really
page.
jumps
I
out
mean,
at
that is
you.
great. I'm gonna have to download that one too. Oh my gosh.
And this is
Wow.
Danny who came up with digital retirement for me, Daniel Ronberg. And I call him Danny.
Oh,
He's done 4 or 5 books now. I can't keep track with him. He's a great entrepreneur, retirement planning expert. We did a book called Buy Back Your Life, and he says the #1 thing that happens in retirement is people don't first of all, they don't plan for retirement. So all of a sudden you're busy, you're working, you have all this stuff going on, and then one day you're just retired, and it's like such an abrupt change. And also people worry about money, so they're not really enjoying their retirement because they're so worried about money. So he helps people buy back their life in retirement, and that's what his whole book is about.
Awesome. Wow, these are great. I mean, so many different unique authors too, just unique messages and areas of
Yeah.
expertise.
Yes, Frank Healy is actually a counselor. He works with a lot of clients. He's actually doing my book a month program. So this is his latest book, Somatic Therapy. I think he's going to do a workbook to go along with this. So he's an amazing guy. He has, I forget what they call it. Like he can remember any date that ever happened. He can remember where he
It's a
was.
super memory.
Yes, that's
Super
what he
memory.
has. He wrote a whole
Oh my
book about
God, Mary
that as
Kenner has
well.
that. What's
Yeah.
that? I'm sorry.
I think he wrote a whole book about that, but I think it's either maybe a curse or a blessing. I don't think I'd want to remember everything.
Me either. Yeah, Mary Lou Henner has that, and I remember
Yes,
when I
that's
read
right.
about it, I'm like, I don't think I'd want to.
trying to remember that.
Yeah, I'm with you, Michelle. I don't know. I think that I'm glad I don't have a super memory. I don't know that I want to remember every little detail of every day of my life, but it's pretty amazing that people do have that ability. So,
Nancy Hartwell
yeah.
was she was one of my first clients right there, way back. I can't remember what year we worked together. And she lived out here where I live, and we must have met at a networking event. She's like, Michelle, I don't understand all this digital publishing. I wrote this book. It was like I have helped a few fiction authors. Mainly, I help nonfiction authors. But she was like, please help me. So I had the program, and I was like, all right, it's a little bit different with fiction, but it's still the same process as far as keywords, categories, finding the audience, diversifying the audience. So we published her book, and I think it was 12 or 18 months later, it was paying for her mortgage. She sold her house in Maryland and moved to Florida and retired, and she called this book Mortgage Money. It literally was paying for her mortgage. And now she's got 3 books in this series.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh.
And
That's amazing.
it's a different topic. It's sex trafficking, but she wrote it as a fiction book. But I think, there was some just stuff that she
That's
was
awesome.
talking about. Shelley Howard.
Let's just do one more here. Yeah. Shelley.
She's amazing. I know I could talk about every client because I know
Yeah.
their whole story. But we wrote a book years ago, and then she said, Michelle, so many things have changed since I wrote that book. Can we write a new book? And so she was actually going on a European vacation, and she said, I'm going to write the book during my European vacation. I'm just going to write a brand new book with what we're teaching now and doing. And her 2 children have I think one of her daughter or something, one of them, they both went to school, one of them I think went to like Harvard tuition free. Like she has an amazing story with her own kids, and she helps kids get into these top colleges, but it really starts early in high school. But anyway, she has built a 6 or 7 figure business around these books.
Incredible. So I just wanted to give the audience just kind of a little taste of, some of the clients that you've worked with and help succeed, and just really using a book to leverage success in their business. And even like I know that there's some clients that we work with where they want to do more, we have one that wants to do a TED Talk. We have people that get speaking engagements from it. We have 2 right now that are going to be expanding their coaching programs using the book
because
as
a book
leverage.
can be the outline for your coaching program. You just really take the book, each chapter, and you just go deeper into the coaching program. You can either pre-record videos, or you can just work with people one-on-one. They get the book, read it, and then you coach them on the content of the book.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many avenues, like so many ways you can take it, and it can really just help you achieve pretty much whatever your goals are. And that's what's so exciting. I mean, it's just kind of fun to me to follow the success of a client. Like once we get the book out there, and then they come back and we like, as you were saying, they come back and we write other books, and they continue to expand. And
over time, things change. So yeah, a lot of clients that come back, and we've done new books for them. Even with digital retirement, I taught like everything in there, like what I did for the book a month, how to do it, my resources, everything was in that book. But yet when I launched Digital Retirement Academy, I made 6 figures that year from the course because people still wanted coaching and Q&A and help. And like they want you to go deeper on each topic. A book can only
Sure.
cover so much. So it's great,
Exactly.
to create something on the back end and make 6 or 7 figures off on the back end of your book.
And yeah, the book is like a teaser, and then you can really delve into things in a
I mean, you
course.
want to have value, like you're always telling
Yeah.
clients. We need calls to action. We need value, but don't put everything in it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just give them enough. And this is even true like with blogs again, just give them enough information that they're like, yes, this person's an authority. I need to contact this
Yeah.
person. And that's really the thought process there. So, Michelle, is there anything else you want our audience to know? Go ahead before
Um,
we.
I was just going to say, people that I think see the value of blogging, because I mean, you were in legal marketing, and I've been blogging ever since I've had my online business. Like I still blog, SEO, keywords, and all that. And people can, if they have a topic, a lot of times we can take the blogs they have. If they're on YouTube, we can take a lot of that content that already exists and turn it into a book.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now with one of our clients. And and actually that is super helpful. Like the more content they have, and that's why I was talking about like using AI as like an aggregator to kind of bring everything together. It's really good for that, like scraping the internet and just kind of getting everything together and pulling all that information from different
Yeah.
like blogs and interviews and things. And so, yeah, I mean, it's always working with clients that are already putting content out there. It's like, makes the whole process like so much smoother and easier, but like we can work with anybody though. But I'm just saying that, and that the people that are already out there doing videos, doing interviews, then they're going to be even more successful with their books because then they're going to be out there promoting their books and their coaching programs or whatever it is that they're using the book to promote. I mean, the more
Absolutely.
willing you are to get out there, I think the more success you're going to have with it.
And we
So,
still will work with people, like if you want to write your memoir, your
sure.
legacy piece. We're working with a retired military
Great.
doctor right now, right, on his memoir.
Yeah.
We can help you with that as well. It doesn't have to be 100% business related. So a lot of people do come to us and they want to write a memoir and they don't know where to start because there's like I got a million things I could talk about. What do I do? So we can help people with that.
Yes. Yeah, it's just a matter of just that, and then that goes back to just kind of talking to somebody, just kind of figuring out what their goals are. And maybe it is just to write a memoir, and that's awesome. But then that's why I liked we gather that information up front, just so that we know what they want to achieve, whether it's a memoir to leave a legacy, which is awesome, for their family, or if they're an attorney who's an estate planning attorney, let's say, and they want to talk about books about why you need a will or things like that. So we can accommodate, yes, it goes back to the individual and what their goals are. And for me, I love it because I learn something new every day because I'm working with so many
I know
smart
it's
people in different
amazing, right?
fields.
Like,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, we,
Oh,
we we learn, we grow, we evolve, and I think the clients grow through the process too. And I think it's pretty amazing. Like if you worked with a traditional publisher, I think it would take 12 to 24 months to get your book out there, and then they want you to do the marketing. We can get books done in 90 to 120 days and
yes.
launched out on the bestsellers list, and you own the copyright
Yes.
and you get all the royalties.
Yes, it's awesome. So, and yes, and I look forward to, working with many more clients together.
Absolutely. So they can go to bestsellingauthorprogram.com and there's a link on there that says let's talk. Or if you're an attorney, I have a special link for attorneys just because I used to be a paralegal and work in the legal field. And then Daria, you have that as well
Yes.
on your
So you
on
can
your
go to,
site.
yes, you can go to truevoicewritingservices.com and I have there's a contact page where I have a short little questionnaire that I modeled after Michelle's on her website. But either
Yeah.
way, you can schedule a call with me or with Michelle, and we'll schedule a call, talk about your goals, why you want to write a book. I mean, I think it's very important to understand why. And again, like whether it's just writing a memoir to leave as a legacy for your family, or expanding a business or starting a business, or whatever it
Absolutely.
is, we can accommodate that. But we like to gather that information up front so that we're kind of all aligned. I don't want to say on the same page, what a pun, right?
Yeah.
But so that we can help you whatever your
So true.
goals are, and it's a lot of fun. So I love doing what I love. I mean, I've missed it, and I'm so happy to be back and doing, writing, ghostwriting full time. And I mean, I can also,
Yeah.
speaking of blogs
Okay.
too, I mean, I can also help with that as well if people need it.
Because blogs can also direct people to your books, to your program, and all of that with the strategic keywords, and it all comes together. It's kind of like all roads lead to your book, your program, and you.
Yes, Absolutely. So go to bestsellingauthorprogram.com to find out more about Michelle. You can also find her books on Amazon.com. I'm going to put all the links in the show description too, like directly to your books on Amazon and to the website to make it easy for people to find you. So,
Very
any
good.
parting words, Michelle, for our audience before we sign off today? Just
Get your book done. Get it out there into the world. There is a lot of fear around writing a book. I think it's like a fear of failure. Maybe there's a fear of success too, right? But you know, you do have authority, because whatever your topic is or whatever your specialty is, like nobody else has the exact story that you have. So get your book out into the world, get your message out there, and we can help you do it.
And I just want to say one other thing, because you just reminded me. Is it less? What's the statistic? Like 5% of people who say they want to write a book actually do it, or is it
Yeah.
even lower than that? So
Like 90% of people want to write a book, but only 5% do, or something. I think something like that. It's crazy.
they're already like way ahead of the game.
Way
Just
ahead of
like
everybody, just getting a book done.
absolutely. And when you work with us, we'll make sure that you succeed.
Oh yeah,
So
100% success rate. Your book will get done.
absolutely. Well, Michelle, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining me today. I really
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
Again, it's
Thank you.
bestsellingauthor.com, and we look forward to working with you. Thanks, Michelle.
All right,
Take
take
care.
care. Bye.